Welcome to this happy corner that I found filled with sunshine in the place that I'm staying, a transitionary place while I'm waiting to move on to my next massive life move. So I welcome you to join the sunshine with me here. And let's talk about why we don't need leaders anymore. I don't know about you, but I have noticed a trend that's beginning to bubble up where a lot of people are getting really frustrated with the idea of leadership being led, and rightly so. Because to have leaders, we need followers. And for the longest time, we were taught that some people were leaders, and then they sort of like made it by deduction. That must mean that everyone else was followers. But the thing is, we are all designed to be self-led. We're all designed to be masters, to be heroes, heroines, leaders of our own story. And so the age of leadership, of gurus, of celebrities is coming to a close. There's no one that we need to worship anymore. No humans that we need to put on a pedestal. No people that we need to show us the way. Yes, it is beautiful to have guides. Yes, it is beautiful to tap into someone else's knowledge base, their resources, their well of wisdom. Yes, a lot of that is hard won and hard earned through many tears and walking the deep path. And when someone has walked a very deep, dedicated path of devotion in their lives, it is natural for us to want to draw from what they have and to learn. And I think that process and that exchange of learning will still continue to take place. But what I'm seeing is it's less of a thing of a hierarchy where this person is going to lead me because they have something that I don't have. They are superior and I am inferior, and I'm going to learn from them so I can climb the ladder. So one day I can be superior and I can tell other people what to do and how to live their lives. That whole structure, that hierarchy is collapsing. We don't need it. There is a beautiful passage of text in the Bible, and whether you subscribe to what's in the Bible or not, a lot of it is really beautiful. I hope the right word is allegory, but I could be wrong. Otherwise, like tales and archetypes and examples that give us a historical perspective, whether it is real or fiction, of what we can hope for in humanity or what we can learn from, how we can do things differently. And I remember reading this about 2 years ago, actually probably 2 years ago, and thinking, man, this is it, this is it right here. So there's this moment with Samuel the prophet, and the people come to him. So at that time, the prophets were there to guide the people, to provide insight and all of that. And the people come to him and say, we want a king. And he says to them, do you understand what you're asking for? You are asking, what will happen is they will take your sons and they will put them into armies. They will take your daughters and they will make them captive servants in their kingdom. You will no longer be led by yourselves, a people that is internally governed, but you will be led by someone else, and they will become master over you. And you can almost sense the brokenheartedness in Samuel, that like, oh no, they had the opportunity to be a self-led people, to be a people that was led by wisdom, that was guided by ancient wisdom, that had voices of wisdom that they could turn to should they need some guidance, should they need some support, should they need some comfort. But what they were asking for was to have a lord and a master over them because they were afraid. They were afraid of, I personally think they were afraid of their own power. They were afraid of what it would look like to be a civilization that was governed from within. And they said, we want this. And Samuel conceded and said, okay, well then if that's what you want, then that's what you'll get. And so began the lineage of kings that ruled over Israel. And I think it's Israel. Do not expect to ever get technically correct facts from me. That's not my gifting. I also tend to err towards more like the philosophical lessons and things versus what the, getting the facts right. Because I think you can get the lesson without needing the facts in place. That's my personal view on it. And if I get too caught up in the facts, it slows me down a lot. And we don't even know what is factual in these stories. You know what I mean? So it's like, is that really the point? But so began this lineage of kings, and more of them were evil, dominating, controlling, absolutely concerned with their own self-interest, self-obsessed and obsessed with their own power, and not in love with the people, not for love for the people. Their motives were very self-serving, and so they had very few times of peace. So entered a lot of war, a lot of just really challenging times. And the people complained and were like, these kings, they're the worst. It's like, you asked for it, right? So I want to tie this together and say that is, it's almost like we've come to this point as humanity now where we're being asked, like, do you still want a king to reign over you in whatever format that comes? Be it siphoning off your personal power to other people needing their approval, whether it is having a government system over you that tells you how your life should be run. And sometimes those systems and structures can remain in place, but you no longer give it power because you have understood your power within and you make decisions from your own internal guidance system. And usually what happens is those are not always, you don't always have to go to war with the system to choose your own internal guidance. I think that's one of the things that subtly we don't notice is that sometimes when you go to war with the system, you're actually still giving away your power. Because you're saying, unless the system changes, I don't get what I want. And I don't always believe that's totally true. Do I believe that we should do stuff about corruptions? Do I think we should do stuff about things that are injustices and just not right and that are oppressing people? 100%. But should we choose that first before we've understood how to govern internally? Well, that's the question. And is that the only solution? Well, no, because a person who has understood their personal power is an unstoppable force. There's nothing that can lord over you, because you notice the way that these ideologies and systems and religions and all this stuff all have these subtle power techniques, and the only way it works is if you're willing to give up your power. The only way it works is if you are willingly submit yourself to it, and the only way it works is if you think you're not powerful. But if you believe that you are infinitely more powerful than the system, and when I speak about that kind of power, I don't know, a good book to read on this is Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins, because that kind of internal power is coming from a place of true power, which is often found in humility and integrity. And just like an inner contentedness and peace and understanding, versus force, which is often what these systems use, which is not true power. It's domination and control, and often comes with a lot of manipulation. So when you're standing in your true power, and these things are coming, be it in a conversation with someone, be it a teacher who won't approve of your artwork, be it a sister or a parent who you feel doesn't understand like who you truly are, be it a group of friends or your country. Oftentimes, feeling like your hometown just won't empower you, where you came from just does not get you. They don't get the calling. They won't love you in that way. They won't empower you in that way. All of that, you got to look at, where am I giving my power away to these people? And I feel like I lost my train of thought a little bit there, but where am I giving my power away? Where am I asking for them to have power over me so I can feel powerful? And then I want you to look at all the ways that force is employed. That subtle force of, I need to manipulate you a little bit. I need to control you a little bit or a whole lot. I need to oppress you a little bit. I need you to be less than, so that for this thing to work, for this relationship to work. To look at all of that and go, okay, I see it now. I see it. None of that works if I can't be manipulated. None of that works if I know from a deep knowing within what it is that I already have. I already have a connection to the divine. I don't need someone else to facilitate that for me. I already have the ability to make autonomous decisions about my life. I don't need someone else to tell me how to do that. I know I will make the best and highest decision because there's a deep trust within me that I've cultivated. I'm not afraid to fail. And I'm also not afraid to get it right. I'm also not afraid to nail it, to make an amazing decision. So a big crumbling is happening where I'm noticing in the coaching industry as well. So I've been in the coaching industry for quite a few years, sort of like on and off. I've had both extreme passion towards it and a lot of reservation, and a lot of those reasons are starting to come to the forefront as to why. I think it's one of the best industries in the world. I think it's one of the ones that's causing the fastest amount of shit to come to the surface about our motives and what we truly want. Because it's like, why do you want to coach other people? It can be because we've been conditioned to believe that proof of success is that you became a great leader. And there's so much to say on this one, so I don't want to rush it too much. But I want to say this: if you are in any form of leadership, or you are a coach, or you're a healer, you might be feeling a lot of tension in your business right now. You might be feeling a lot of tension around your life purpose right now. And I think for some people, this is manifesting as a stuckness. This is manifesting as an inability to see the way forward in your business. It might be manifesting as a sense of just being completely fed up with the way things are being done, and you're not even sure exactly what you're fed up with. And of course, this could also be manifesting as something that's really scary, because you've seen other people succeed until now in building coaching businesses, healing practices, all of that sort of stuff in a certain way. We've had a really big boom in the industry, which I love, and I also think that we're ready to graduate from it. This thing of transforming people's relationship with money, and people being able to make fast money, quick money in coaching, big money as well. And I'm all good with that so long as it was done in integrity. But I also think that It was a necessary phase we needed to get through. We needed to burn through some collective shadows with that. And now we're moving into a place of like really deep integrity where it is no longer about I'm going to use my gifts and talents so that I can be superior to other people. So I can finally prove that I can do it. And have other people used in that process of supporting your mission to become the world's most successful human being. I think we're done with that. I think we're done with using each other in society like that. I think we're done with the separation. And so if you've been feeling frustration and almost a hesitancy to move forward in creating your dream, I think what's being asked of us is to really look deeply into our own personal motives as to why we're doing this. And also look at the methodology and say, well, do I really need to be the one who leads other people? Do I need to be a voice, an influencer, whatever? Or is there a subtle but very powerful shift that can be made to the brotherhood of mankind and the sisterhood of mankind, where we, as Ram Dass says, we're all just walking each other home? And so it becomes more about an exchange, and it becomes more about deep connection, and it becomes more about the deep resources that you can bring as a fellow friend along the way, a friend of humanity. Without the need to have any kind of false power over people, without the need to be the one who knows the most in the room, without the need to draw on the scarcity in other people where they feel like they might be lacking, and come in as the hero and the savior. And no, I just see the layers of this being flushed out of society, and the first way it gets flushed out is it gets flushed out within each one of us. I personally went through this recently. It was like shock and horror to look at some of my motivations for doing things. Having grown up in Christianity and having what I thought was my dream to become a minister, it's hammered into you in the church to become a preacher. Oh my goodness. Talk about being preachy, right? And I couldn't understand. I was like, I think I've got good stuff to say, but I just don't know why it's not landing nicely with people. Why do I sense so much resistance in people's hearts? And I noticed it's because I had this veneer and this exterior that was this idea that I knew more than other people. And that I needed to preach to them because it was so hammered into us, which is so interesting because it's like you're trained to be a preacher, but then when you actually do what a preacher does, you're sort of like you're not welcomed for it. But I actually think what it was more than anything was my soul was uncomfortable with the entire setup of it, but not knowing that there could be other options. You kind of just keep pushing against your own alignment. I kept going against what felt aligned for me, thinking, well, maybe if I just push through hard enough, I will eventually, it's just uncomfortable because I'm learning, or it's just uncomfortable because I'm uncomfortable leading or whatnot. But actually there was, at one point I used to call myself the reluctant leader, because I was like, ever since before I was born, it was spoken of me that I would be a leader. But I was like, oh, fuck, I don't wanna, and now I see it's because the idea of what leadership actually is changing. It's changing to self-leadership. That I can get on board with. And I share all of that because I feel like I might be really similar inside of you, that your soul's path and mission is so strong that you cannot buy into a fake model of leadership. You cannot buy into a model of leadership where there's still any form of domination over another human being or another being. any form of control, any form of superiority, any form of I have something and you don't. And even if there are areas where we're stronger than other people, which they're going to be because we all have a very unique and different life path, that is where the exchange comes in. Is like, hey, I have some fresh perspectives and some insights and some strengths in these areas, and in no way does that undermine your strengths, your insights, your fresh perspectives, your giftings, and your unique abilities. It comes in and it complements, and it comes in and it fills a beautiful puzzle piece in the full puzzle of humanity. And so the contribution becomes a lot stronger because for me to shine, no one else has to diminish. For me to shine, no one has to stay small, right? Because that's the other thing around this whole like guru culture and even celebrity spiritual culture. Both, obviously, like actual celebrity culture, which I think is dead, done, and over with. I really do. And I trust we'll see the effects of that in the years to come. But the celebrity spiritual culture of spiritual celebrities, this thing of they shine so bright, and I'm still so small, and I need what they have, and how did they get to where they got, like, will I ever get there? All of those thoughts that come up, I've noticed that if I feel that way now around somebody, even if their message is really great, like I will have to examine what is, like, for me personally, what is my interpretation of this person's motives, in which case I'm going to take the meat and spit out a lot of bones. I'm going to spit out some of the structural ways in which they're presenting their message. And I might just grab a few little gold nuggets along the way, but I'm not going to allow that structure to imprint in my nervous system, in my body, in my soul, and in any way reduce the flow of my personal expansion. And I trust it'll be the same for you. So here's what's beautiful about this, and this will be in conclusion. What we can look forward to as humanity is that those who are the pure of hearts, the ones who I really feel for the longest time have stayed quite silent, because they don't want to play the game. Like, you don't want to play the game. You're not here to play the game. And you might have, as a result, also stepped back in a lot of your gifts and the unique stuff that you do bring to the table, because the price was too high. The trade-off was too big. You had to play too much of the game for too little of your gifts to be used, that it wasn't worth it to you. So it could have looked like for many years you did nothing with your life. And you might go like, I've got nothing to show for this, Like, I got all the stuff inside and it's beautiful, and it just keeps cultivating more and more as time goes by. I just want to change the lighting on this a little bit, just so you can see my face a bit more, because I think, obviously the angle of the sun changes as we go along. It's either going to be clearer now or not, but you might have, I'm not sure that's better. Let's go back here. Okay. Yeah. I think we'll just stay here. But you might have felt for years like, oh, I've done nothing. And honestly, there might have been times when you did do nothing. But that nothing was a very powerful move on your part, because you did not contribute to the oppressive systems. And so by doing that, in your own way, you were nurturing the new earth. In your own way, you were investing in a new way for humanity to be. Sometimes doing nothing was the best option that you could have chosen. And so it's a great thing to acknowledge that, to be acknowledged for that as well. But what's going to happen now is, as this whole hierarchical system crashes even more, those who have the pure intentions to really create oneness within humanity, who really have the best interests for the future and the way forward, are going to have a bit more space created for them. Energetically, it's going to feel like Earth is a bit more of a spacious place for you. And within your own sort of functioning, you're going to begin to see ways of being and of sharing what you have inside that don't add an oppressive weight to humanity, that don't layer another layer of should do's and must do's on her, but actually begin to take the pressure off. So I think that's quite exciting. I'm quite looking forward to that. And I want to say this as well, that none of us have all pure motives and all impure motives. That's part of the journey that we've been on, is to purify our motives even more so. So when I say pure of heart, this isn't this like 100% you get it right all the time perfectionism idea, and like, you know, kind of a savior thing again, you know. It's those who somewhere deep down inside have known that there's a better way to do things. Doesn't mean that it's not about getting it right or wrong. It's just like, you know, you kind of lean more towards that. And you kind of really don't enjoy partaking in the corruption, and you kind of really are more sold out on being awake, on staying awake, as painful as it is sometimes, and as challenging as it is to confront your shadows, and you are actually interested in healing your shadows, in integrating them. That's what I mean by pure of heart. Versus I'll just do whatever it takes to get to the top. But also acknowledging that we all have that within us. We've all been trained for competition. We've all, we've all had some level of like, hey, success looks like proving yourself. And so we're all just also deconditioning and letting go from that. Even those who instinctively from the start knew that that was not great and were probably really bad at it, like really bad at playing the game. So I want to say to you, hey, congrats for being bad at playing the game. Congrats at all the times where you failed dismally at plugging into the matrix, at being the matrix, and at following your conditioning. You're a radical, freaking awesome, superhuman, jelly bean Care Bear, and I am grateful for your path. Thank you for screwing up your conditioning, so that we can emerge a lighter, freer planet, with one heck of a beautiful energetic upgrade at this time. I love you. Thank you for being here. This was fun, in this special little sunlit corner, and we'll chat again soon.